Today I want to talk about how we think about ourselves, our self-concept, and share a story about how I made a change in mine. To start, it helps to recognize that everything you think about yourself is a story that you made up or accepted from someone else. Your whole concept of who you are is a conglomeration of stories and images, piled on each other, intertwined like a huge ball of yarn. Many of these stories do you a good service, but the stories where you feel like you're not enough can be crippling. So the work is to unwind the ball of yarn, story by story, image by image, holding each one up to the light for re-examination. Sometimes the light itself dissolves the story into thin air. Other times you might have to wrestle with a story to rewrite it, one word or phrase at a time, over months or years. So here's my example. I have stories about who I am as a teacher. I've been teaching all my life, so I've taught over 1,000 students. And there have been times I've succeeded and times I've failed in ways that still hurt my heart. And a central story that I've carried all this time is that I have to try hard, but can never be sure of success with any given student. The center of this story is trying hard. It's a story that I feel in my chest and my arms, a kind of tight, anxious feeling, like I'm going into a test every time. And last summer, someone helped me revise my story, someone I hadn't seen in 30 years, the father of a student I taught in the 1990s. This gentleman pulled me aside at a lawn party, faced me squarely, fixed his eyes on mine, and proceeded to talk emphatically and at length. I felt like I was being held in his force field and just listened. He talked about how important I'd been to his daughter when she was in high school. What a rare gift my teaching and mentoring had been to her. How I opened new worlds to her that often became the subject of conversation at dinner. How I pushed her, encouraged her, believed in her. And how he can trace everything about who she is today back to my influence on her teen years. What a gift this man offered me that afternoon. In the moment, I could only bow my head in gratitude. Afterwards, it was up to me how to integrate his story into my own concept of self. My usual habit would be to diminish it in some way by thinking he was just being kind, or it was just one student, or it was just luck that I happened to click with her. Then I would file it away in the success file. But that file would still always be counterbalanced by the failure file and leave me with always having to try hard. I realized I had an opportunity this time to do things differently. I allowed myself to reimagine myself as the teacher he described. The center of this story was no longer trying hard. It was instead a strong, radiant, loving heart. And when I let myself inhabit this new story, when I let myself believe that that's who I am, essentially, as a teacher, it was like I stepped into a different body where I felt light and expansive. I still hesitate to stay there for long, lest I become complacent and forget to try hard. Yet it has become a place I can step into, like stepping into a bath of light for a dose of sunshine. Ultimately, all our thoughts are stories. Partial truths, interpretations of ink blots. Our minds need these partial truths, these mental maps, to navigate the world. And the ones we choose to adopt as our self-concept are particularly powerful shapers of our lives. Last spring at Wise Humanity, we held a retreat on the theme Great Enough, an epic 4 days where 40 people re-examined their concept of self and helped each other rewrite their stories. The response was so positive that we're planning to publish a book later this year with all the talks we gave and the group activities we led. The group at that retreat developed a running joke about how to respond when someone gives you a compliment, because we were all generally terrible at taking compliments, deflecting them in various self-deprecating ways. We all adopted a new standard response for any compliment. Thank you, it's true. We said it loud and proud and laughed. And now in everyday life, we can still say the first part, thank you, out loud, and just say the second part, it's true, to ourselves. Letting go of those not enough stories can be a long game, but it's worth working on directly because ultimately, our sense of self is the ground we stand on. It's how we arrive to every situation. The perspective of a supportive friend can be a great help if you let it in. At the very least, next time someone gives you a heartfelt compliment, don't deflect it or file it right away. Inwardly say, thank you, it's true. And let yourself feel your own radiant heart.